All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It's Thursday, July 30th, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm sure many people are happy that I'm back doing webinars in the evening rather than during the middle of the day. Um, we are very excited to present a new playbook that we worked on at ClinicGrower this year. So my name is Brad Ferris. I've got Aimee Schrems with me, who is one of our client success managers. We're going to walk through what we're calling the zone of perfection, but basically it's a start to finish playbook for how you would grow your practice organically. There's nothing wrong with ads. We still recommend as an agency running ads. But if you're very, very focused on bringing in awesome people through the door and you want to get them into memberships, you want to get them into a very high lifetime value transaction, this is going to be perfect for you. Anyone that knows my webinar knows that I will always start with a simple. So we have a fantastic book. I've got it here behind me. If you don't have a copy, this is where you can get a free copy of that book, electronic or physical. So it's at clinicgrower.com/book. Aimee, introduce yourself to the audience in the event that they've not yet had an opportunity to meet you.
Well, I am Aimee Schrems. As you can see here, I have more than 20 years of patient care experience. I was worked in OBGYN labor and delivery for the first decades of my life, my adult life, and then I moved into aesthetics, and I worked at a prominent practice for a little over 2 years. I am very passionate about helping the patients. I think that's why we're all here. I love bringing everybody back to why we went into this business to begin with, and it is for patient experience, and this playbook is going to help everyone with that.
Absolutely. And in the event that anyone doesn't know who I am, my name is Brad Ferris. I am co-owner of a number of companies. ClinicGrower would be the one I'm probably most well known for. Registered nurse. I have my graduate degree in marketing. I'm also the practice scaling coach of the Aesthetic Nexus. So many of you are part of that larger Facebook group with Dr. Hardik Soni and Dr. Lana G. I'm really passionate about this. So this was something that Misty got to see firsthand as Aimee and I one day got a request from a client. We were like, all right, what can we do in 15 minutes? And we, smashed about 50% of this out in an afternoon coaching session. And Misty's just sitting there eating popcorn, being like, whoa, look at the two of them go. I really, really love patient-centered care. I'm a very strong believer that your ads can be marvelous, your processes can be incredible, but how you treat your patients is how you're going to scale the practice through your reputation and through your relationships. Really quickly, there's no offer on this webinar, but we will give a little plug to ClinicGrower, which is why we're always doing these webinars. We're a growth marketing firm based in Tampa, Florida. I'm Canadian. You will hear that in my accent. Misty and Aimee are from the South and Tennessee and Alabama. But we provide digital advertising. We have an amazing CRM, which is customer relationship management platform. We do AI and concierge services, website SEO, AI search is all that we do. But for many, they don't know that we have a coaching component. So I've got some coaching clients here tonight. They brought their teams because that 15-page resource is a little overwhelming. And they're like, okay, maybe we want to ask, some role play questions, get some tips, ease of execution and implementation. So welcome to all of them. If you're on this call tonight or you're watching the recording, this is something I also do in my webinar where I talk about, who is the ideal audience for this content. So we're going to have owners here. We're going to have leaders inside of the practice, probably a lot of providers. We're going to have patient coordinators as well, front desk teams, and lots of people involved in client experience. Almost everyone here, I'm guessing, is seeking to offer a premium, consistent, profitable patient journey. You're looking to increase trust, reviews. Retail has been the big focus for 2026. A lot of practices asking how can they increase retail revenue in terms of product. You all probably have a device that you want to see utilized and used more on a regular basis in the practice to generate revenue. For a lot of you, your before and afters are great, but you're seeing some of my clients go, at another level, and probably curious, like how are they getting so many of those patients, right, Aimee, to say, yes, I want to be showcased in social media, because for a lot of a lot of us it's a challenge, right? It seems like we're pulling teeth to try to get consent to go forward with somebody publicly with their transformations. Memberships, definitely, that's been a key for the last couple of years. Overall sales. If you see LTV, I'm referencing lifetime value. So how much money did the patient spend over the lifetime of them inside the practice? I think I have Shannon and her team on here. It's not uncommon for them to have a patient kind of in the $60,000-$70,000 range, which, for all of us, we want 200, 300 more patients spending that type of money. You're probably ready to stop delivering what we're going to be calling an average experience. Over the last couple of years, people have heard me talk about the plus one or the Disney, and we'll explain that a little bit tonight. But you want to have something that you're proud of. And, I often will acknowledge we're not having this webinar tonight because any of you are doing a bad job, right? You're all doing your best. You've got 1,000 things each day that require your attention. We're all amazing professionals. We're all dedicated to the patients. Competition is increasing though. And I think for a lot of our practices, they're not just seeing the competition, they're feeling it, right? There's a large pull on your existing patient base of what's happening over here, or what event is going on over there, or promotion at that, kind of new franchise, right? Or new place in a bigger suite, in a bigger space. So what we need to be doing is upping our game, right? Creating those exceptional standards. We always say average doesn't scale, exceptional does. So the challenge tonight is kind of, we're going to be working towards that. And I was sharing recently in a coaching call a couple weeks ago, the experience that each of us, if we were to go to Disney today, right? We're at Disney with our family. That entire experience was designed for 2026. But let's not kid ourselves. Disney's working already on what that experience is going to be for 2030, right? And for you, I think you're here because you've got a great experience. You're doing awesome in 2026. But what do you want to build towards next? Also, this is going to require intention. I will, anyone that's here that thinks this will be easy, I'm going to be the first person to be like, look at the 15-page resource that we're putting in chat. It is going to be overwhelming in a positive way. Your team's going to need time. They're going to need support, right? We're going to have some real accountability tools in place to make sure that these things get implemented. Every role matters, okay? So in practices that I coach, in practices that I've owned or I've practiced in myself, every single person is just as important as everybody else. Because what we do is we move towards the patient. Whatever the patient needs, they need a glass of water, they need someone to hold their kid. Everyone knows, everyone's like, kids. I'm like, yeah, it's the fertility nurse, right? I'm like, I hold kids all the time. Goal is not perfection on day one. It probably will take you 6 to 12 months to implement 80% of this, but you're going to feel really good and positive as you go. And you're going to have wins, and you're going to be able to celebrate those as a team in terms of, hey, everyone said this was impossible and we did it, and that's incredible. Our patients do deserve a more thoughtful, confident, elevated experience. I think all of you, from looking at the room right now, I would say that about your practices, that's what you're striving to implement. So what you're going to get the entire zone of perfection. I'll be posting it in a couple times just as people kind of come in and out of the room. But these are the exact standards that you can use. You can modify this document. You can alter it. Please don't take too much of it out, because we're pretty passionate that all of it's important and needed. But the goal here is to build trust with our patients, reduce friction overall, help those patients feel confident and beautiful, right? We don't want them to feel sold and average. There's lots of competition that's doing that already for you, okay? And let them do that. That's not something you should be participating in. Accountability on the team is going to make sure that everyone needs to know what their role is so that they can contribute. Some days it's going to be equal, some days it's going to be unequal, and that's okay. The whole goal here again is the patient experience. And we're going to be moving these one-time experiences where my clients come to me, right, and go, we need more patients. And I look and I'm like, you have lots. You just have lots that have never come back a second time, okay? So new patients are great and fantastic. They are important. I'm not saying they're not. But getting more out of your existing patients is actually far easier than rolling the dice. And your team will say this too. The patients that you know that are predictable are way easier to manage than the new ones coming through the door that you don't know very much about. So Aimee, tell them why we were crazy and we made it.
Why we were crazy and we made it? Because we love what we do with you guys and we want to help you in any possible way we can. And the best way to do it is to make sure your patient has the best experience. So, as far as ClinicGrower, Brad's been coaching and scaling practices since 2005. And there's many prominent clients that are achieving success, not only our aesthetics practice, but also our vein and vascular practices as well. And we also have great plastic surgeons as clients with us that love everything that we do and we love what they do with us. And despite success, having difficulty driving practices to outcomes with many broken steps. So more and more clients are requesting a full playbook. More and more clients are requesting one-on-one coaching sessions with myself or Brad. And we love that we can create something like this so that you guys have this at your fingertips. You can take it into your practice and share it with your team. And it says difficult for Brad and Aimee to get to all the practices. Yes. So this is the best way for us to do it. We created this so you guys have this access and you can share it and hit the ground running and make your patients feel like the queens and kings that they are.
Well, we'll tell them the true story, right? Because we're all on that call that day. We had a client,
Yeah.
right? He was basically at wit's end, wanted to fire everybody in the practice, right? And he was like, I need the two of you to fly down here tonight, be here on Friday, get this team whipped into shape, right? My wife's like, you can't go, and Aimee's like, I got stuff, but it just signaled like these are really big challenges and practices, right? For all of us, we have a standard. We're trying our best to get the team bought in. It's not that the team's not great. It's just there's no way for them to like suction cup the brain waves of exactly how we want things done. So our attempt, at least in the 24 hours that we turned this around, was to give to this client, okay, if we were there, right? Obviously, we're teaching it virtually, but if we were there, what would they see? What would they hear? What are the words that Aimee and I would use throughout the patient journey from the moment they open the door all the way to how we're doing the follow-up, right, Aimee, like a week or two later. And we'll obviously be in the practices as we're traveling, implementing this live in our scrubs. But for anyone that can't have us come on site, that's I think that's a good middle ground. So Zone of Perfection's here. Like I said, for anyone's live on the call, I've been putting it in the chat. Anyone watching the recording, because I do know a lot of people working late. I got a lot of text messages kind of last minute being like, I won't be able to make it, or I'm in the car. There's the QR code that you can download to get the full resource. So the mindset shift, I'm going to challenge everybody on today. And again, some of this is review because you guys have heard me talk about this on previous events and stage. We're very provider-centric. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? We're thinking about our practice. We're thinking about our schedules. We're thinking about what's coming in and out of our door. But I do want to put for tonight that fully patient-centered mindset on, right? If we are the patient that has already spent $20,000, and Jenna's probably on the call, right? And we're going to spend the next $20,000. What's going to influence those decisions, right? What's making someone decide this is where I'm going, this is where I'm not going, this is what I'm going to accept in terms of treatment, this is where I don't feel that this is the right fit or the right option or my treatment plan, is it representing exactly me? So you're going to stop building for tonight the visit around what's easiest for the staff. Sorry, staff, for what we're hearing. Okay. And we're going to start building the visit around what does this patient need to feel safe, right? To make sure that expectations are clear, right? To make sure that that patient is confident, that they would say to us with a lie detector, they're cared for, right? That's a really big challenge. That's a high pedestal that I often talk about when I'm coaching, right? But every patient wants to feel like that queen. And one of the things that you'll notice that's in that zone of perfection one of the very first electronic resources on, I think, the second page is, it's an example of a vivid vision that I wrote for our client at Galore Medical, where are we going to be in 3 years? What does she want to accomplish? Who's going to be there with her? How did she do it? And this is a practice that specializes exclusively in full facial balancing, right? So it's a very, very ambitious vision, but the standards are there, right? The core values are there. How they're going to do it is there. Every single one of you can take that, add your, your passions and your goals into that, and you can be sharing that with your team to make it easier for them to understand, why are we doing all of this work, right? We want the patient never to feel rushed, Aimee, right? We don't want them to feel judged. We definitely don't want them confused. Confused patients do not buy, okay? Most patients also don't want to feel sold to. They want to be advocated for. No one also wants to be forgotten. Some of our practices are single rooms. Some of them are quite large suites. I've been in practices where the patient is, off somewhere, right, and doesn't know quite where they are because they came out of the bathroom and they took a left instead of taking a right. We want to make sure that they're all attended to. We're going to be very ambitious tonight. I would expect there will be questions on this. There's no reason that your practice shouldn't be pushing $15,000 to $40,000 a month in retail product. And we've come prepared with resources to help you get exactly to those goals. Someone here is being like, no way. And I'm like, nope, way. I've taken that challenge. I will work with you tonight and role play on how we're going to get there. And you are missing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in your practice and lifetime value, right? That patient that's come in 4 times, we haven't seen them in 7 months. This entire process is going to make you think, well, I haven't seen that person. What happened, right? Okay, let's reach out. Let's reconnect. Let's find out what we need to do different or better, right? Or improved. Patient experience. As I mentioned, there's a lot of practices that we see every day. I get DMs on Messenger on a regular basis each week talking about any new leads. I have new treatments. I'm having difficulty getting patients into treatment plans. I've got a group of team where my providers have preference on their schedule, on their rooms, on their procedures. Patients can smell this on you. They can smell it on you a mile away. You probably think you're great at hiding it. You're not, because when I'm on calls, I'm calling you out, all of you out on it on a regular basis. Patient experience, the best patient experience is going to create great retention. You're going to get great referrals. You're going to be getting awesome reviews, probably be top in your market in terms of reviews. And some of you on the call, I can see, I know you, and you do have that. Highest rebookings is really important, right? I would say that's the dirty secret in our industry. Lots of new patients coming through the door, not as many second and third visits as I think you guys should be aiming for, right? Everyone aiming, right, will tell me, oh, our rebookings are great. I'm like, that's your members. They don't count, okay? The brand new patient, the person coming through that has the least amount of trust, the highest amount of skepticism, are we booking that patient 30% of the time for a second visit? And for many of you, if I were to pull an audit from your charts, you're closer to 10 or 12% of those new patients. And that puts a huge pressure on your marketing team to keep finding new people, right? So, Aimee, this is our playbook broken into 7 sections. Why don't you take everyone through kind of the main idea behind each of these sections?
So pre-visit preparation. So this is what I call our homework. So you should be doing your homework and learning each and every patient that's coming in either the day before or the morning of, before they grace your doorsteps. You should know who they are, why they're there. You need to know everything about them. So that's what's so great about charting and making notes and having that treatment plan so that you know exactly who they are. So when they walk in, they feel like they're walking into their best friend's house. They're not walking into some clinic, some practice that no one knows them. Patient arrival and greeting, greet them by name, and then bring up something. Like if you see anything in their chart, it was their birthday or their kid was getting married or whatever the case is, this is what that preparation is. And it makes them feel seen and heard and welcomed. And immediately they feel a lot calmer. Intake tour
So
and
wait, Amy, wait, sorry. Are you saying that you're friending these people on Facebook before they come into the practice? You're looking to see who they are, where they work, what's important to them so that you have some, kind of, you know, gab to talk about, whether it's, they love, Louis Vuitton purses or they've got a little Bichon Frise puppy or they're a cat person like you. Like, are you saying that you're doing that research ahead of time?
yeah, you need to know your patient. They're trusting you. You're putting needles in their face. So most of them, even the ones that can't wait to get neurotoxin jabbed into their forehead, they are still nervous because they're getting needles put in their face. So if they walk into a warm environment where they feel seen and known and like she knew my name. Oh, she knew my kid's birth, whatever the case is, you guys know your patients. It's taking that extra step. So that's that plus one mentality that Brad preaches on that sets you apart from other practices that no other practice is doing. They're just, hi, welcome in, have a seat, we'll be with you in just a second. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. This is those extra steps to knowing your patients, knowing their likes, knowing their wants, knowing their needs. And I loved doing that. I'm a hugger, so I'm hugging my patients, asking them how their day was, and talked about anything and everything so that I knew that their anxiety level was back to zero before they ever saw the provider. They felt confident, they felt comfortable, and it does make a huge difference when you know who they are coming through the door.
Sorry to interrupt. Take us through the
You're fine.
intake.
So intake tour, doing a tour is extremely helpful, especially for your new patients coming in. If it's a one room practice, still do a tour. Like, this is where we do XYZ. This is where skincare is. This is where their procedure will take place. But if you're in a practice that has multiple rooms, it's great to show them, like, here's the bathroom. If you need to go to the bathroom, here's where, if you need to get something to drink, or here are the different treatment rooms. This is what we do in here. This is what we do in here. And it just kind of makes them feel at home, because if you're actually ever doing anything in your home and you're hosting, most people for the first time want a tour of your house. So you have to treat it the exact same way. Your practice is your home away from home, and your patients are your guests. So you want them to come in and feel welcomed and warm, and everything's inviting. And then we move on to photos, documentation, and handoff to provider. Never leave a patient just on their own. Just don't shove them in a room and say, somebody will be with you in just a second. Go ahead and get their photos. And while you're getting their photos, this is the perfect opportunity to ask the questions, ask what their favorite things are, ask why, oh, you're getting this and this today. Well, why not do this? I'm not going to teach you guys to upsell tonight, but that would be my opportunity to do that at that point. And then you document, and then you hand them off to that provider so that they're never really ever alone. And the only time they'll ever kind of be sitting is when they're numbing. We all know that. But even then, I'm popping in, I'm popping out, I'm asking if they need a drink, I'm asking how they're feeling. Or, with some patients, I will just sit there and talk to them until the provider is ready, just so that they're not sitting in there alone. The treatment experience, talk to them like they're your friends. I never wanted any patient to feel like it was very clinical and cold. I would make jokes. We would talk about anything and everything. You actually become their therapist. So not only are they getting a beauty treatment, they got therapy as well. The checkout, prescription, experience, pulse, referral reach, and rebooking, I would try and get all of that done while they're still in the room. Go ahead and get them rebooked for that next appointment before they ever even get to the front desk, if you have the means to do so. Referral reach. Brad, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll go through. We got slides on each of these, but
Yeah.
you know, we're going to talk about, there's a lot that has to happen in that last 10 minutes of the appointment. I certainly, when I'm coaching, don't give people the expectation that, you're going to get the rebooked plus a review, plus a referral to another patient, plus
Mhm.
all this other stuff. But, based on your engagement, your conversations, you might have one there that makes more sense to reach for. The rebooking has to be the
Mhm.
priority.
Mhm.
And say you got the rebooking really easily, Aimee, then it would be like, hey, who's someone else that you know at work that would just be happier with Botox,
Yep.
right? Who else would be happier to feel and look this good? Who else do you know that deserves a massage with, or not massage, I guess, a facial, right? But you might have a massage in your practice. But who
Mhm.
else would benefit from a facial here at our practice? We'll get into that kind of in the subsequent slides, but it's just to help everyone understand, like, it's okay that it's overwhelming. You just have to pick the three things out of the 10 that in that
Mhm.
instance makes the most sense for you.
Right. And then follow up for me, I think that is so important. So, what I've been coaching and teaching our clients is don't wait until they come back. You want within 72 hours, you should be on the phone with them. Mark some time out on your calendar, call them. Hey Misty, how you doing? I know you had XYZ done. I'm just checking on you. How are you feeling? Or if you sold them a skincare regimen, how's that working? How's your skin looking? How's your skin feeling since you started the skincare? And it makes them, again, feel seen and heard and not sold, right? Because we genuinely care. I know when my doctor calls me and checks on me, it makes me, I'm like, oh my gosh, they called just to see how I'm doing. I promise you, it makes such a difference versus sending that text, sending an email. It's so much more personal. People are so used to instant gratification. They'll just text and all of that. I feel like old school, pick up the phone and call them. And then as you do that, you're charting. You're writing down what their experience is. You're writing down what their symptoms are. You're writing down all of the things. And then ask them for a photo. Okay, you're loving your lips. Send me a pic. Send me a selfie. And obviously get the permission. But to me, that follow up and talking about their aftercare is so important because the biggest thing is we want them to know us, we want them to like us, and we want them to trust us. And the only way to do that is to build a relationship. And by building that relationship, that means spending time with them in the office, in the treatment room, and when you call and checking on them.
So
That
basically
creates
what
the
we're
lifetime value patient.
yeah, basically what we're saying is that experience that they're going to have when they book their appointment is going to be spectacular. When they walk in the door, it's only going to get better, right? And after they've left, we don't want that feeling to leave. We want them to feel like they're still connected to us.
Mhm.
We still care. Yeah, we got the money and we got the transaction and we even got the rebooking, but it wasn't about that. It was about serving them, right?
Yeah.
All right, so rules of communication. Again, if you've never been on a webinar, this will be new, but for many of you, it's review. We don't use the word no. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we let patients do whatever the patient wants to do. But if we know that we kind of have to pivot, we use the word let's. Okay, so let's go do this. Let's go to a different room. Let's get you a warm blanket. Let's get you in a little bit quicker if you're having some anxiety. We also don't use the word if. If introduces a fork in the road. So we don't say if you choose this treatment or if you want to come back. We always use the word when. When is that nice, beautiful, inevitable part of the journey? Okay. We also don't, especially in women-dominated healthcare spaces, we don't tell people that they need something. As a man, I know that my patients never really ever appreciated me using that word. So what we do is we share how the various recommendations are going to benefit them, right? That choice will benefit them. Coming back in for their 2-week follow-up will benefit them. Yeah, we have to do it for compliance a lot of time, right, in terms of our licenses. But we can still do a better job of presenting that with just using a little bit more natural language processing. We're never selling. We're always advocating, right? That's the easiest way. Anyone on the call that's like, I suck at selling. I hate selling. I don't like to do it. I don't want to do it. Don't. Just advocate. Aimee and Misty don't upsell our clients. They advocate for the programs and services that are helpful and beneficial to them. It will give you immediately this wonderful boost of confidence, and the patient's going to receive that in a positive way as, oh, they care about what they're recommending. Treatment plans are transformation plans, right? So from a long-term standpoint, doesn't matter what you call them. It's just we want that treatment plan to be multiple months, ideally a year, if not a little bit longer once we get them into our memberships. And we'll talk a little bit about time frame result, which is a framework that I teach, and I have a resource that I can give to you guys. So, Aimee, we talked a little bit about when they walk in the door, right? So we all hear that little ding-a-ling-a-ling or ding, right? We don't have a patient with us, okay? We don't have a phone call. We don't have anyone at the desk. And again, many of the times we're all swamped, so I understand that. But walk us through some of the stuff that you hear that ding. What are some of the stuff that you're getting into or that you're kind of pulling out of your toolbox, right, to make this person feel comfortable?
Well, the biggest thing is we stand up and smile. We're not going to sit there and be scrolling on our phone. We stand up, we greet them, we always use their name. Obviously on this slide it says use their name when possible, but this is where we go back to our homework and our pre-planning. We know who's walking in the door. Now, if they're brand new, we may not know who they are, but I go and I look them up and I already know what they look like. So that's that extra step. Eye contact is prioritized. Comfort is anticipated, sensed, and looked for. We get hands-on or use gestures. So when I say that, I hug people when they walk in. I'm so excited to see them. I'm so glad they're there, and I let them know that. I'm so glad you came today. We're excited for whatever procedure you're getting done. And I think that just makes them feel great. And a lot of times you really will have an opportunity to read your patient when they walk in. Are they nervous? Are they anxious? Are they in a bad mood? And so immediately you might have to pivot a little bit. So you can kind of get a feel for them. We're all grown-ups. We're all human beings. We can do that. Especially in the aesthetics and medical industry, we have a feel of people and how they are. And you take it from there. Don't just sit there and be quiet or just, hi, welcome in. Somebody will be with you in a moment. Stand up, greet them, and genuinely act excited that they're there because they chose you guys. They have 15 other practices probably in the area they could choose, and they chose to come through your door. So make them feel appreciated.
I will admit, I think sometimes it feels like you're putting on a little bit of a mask, right? Some people will feel like it's a little artificial, right? Are we pushing it a little bit, Aimee, right? But again, initially it will feel that way until you really start to see, well, this is where the high lifetime value transactions are coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting this person to the event. I'm getting this person to buy the retail product. I'm getting them to accept the full treatment plan. You will be positively reinforced, right? So eventually it just becomes a part of your standard. It's a part of how you do patient care. Brittany asked a great question. I'm pretty sure it's Brittany, right, Aimee? And I know you responded, but are we still making a call to every patient even after they've been in the practice? Like, they've come in for their fourth or fifth visit. Are we still reaching out to that just like it's a new patient?
Yes. Every
Yeah,
patient gets a call back.
yeah. And I
You
always
have
challenge,
the time. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I always challenge practices, at least in those first six visits, you have no idea if that person's going to be 20, 40, $60,000. So if
Mm-hmm.
you treat everyone as if they were, well, now it becomes what's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will create those patients literally out of that activity.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone perfect? And that was my comment back to her. No, like, Aimee, you're amazing. You probably did hit 100%. If we did a full audit, there's probably a couple times. But 85, 90% is still a really, really good threshold. And this call, it's ideal if it's from the provider, from the clinician, from the MA, but anyone can do this. So many of our practices, anyone's on the call, you guys know the clipboards, and good that you're all on mute because you're like, oh, Brad's clipboards. But we have clipboards on devices. to note who's getting a tour and how many times are we doing an introduction of a device to a new patient. But we also have a clipboard at the front desk of who we call them recalls, right? But like
Mhm.
which of our patients require a recall. It's great that someone like Aimee's tackling that during the day, getting through the whole list before she leaves. But if we have a little bit of downtime, there's no reason that anyone can't be just doing that check-in. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Are you looking beautiful? Are you feeling beautiful? Great. Aimee's just with a patient. She wanted to call, couldn't quite get there yet, but I wanted to make sure that we reached out. That's a great way for a front desk staff that might feel a little underutilized to be very involved and very hands-on with their patients. And we get hands-on, right, Aimee? Like we give hugs, right? We use
I do.
hand gestures. We're not closed like a genie, right? We're not kind of like, far away. Some patients have a different level of comfort, of course, right? And I mean, some people they'll say like, okay, that's not me, right? Or this is a little too much. But you will find that those higher LTV patients do actually like you being a little hands-on, or at least having that closeness to you.
Mhm.
All right, let's talk about the patient state check, Aimee, right? Why would we be going through some of these questions in our head?
So that we know how to approach them. So, like I just went over, everybody's different. I believe most everybody that's coming into your practice is a little bit nervous. I do believe that they are excited to have their filler or their tops or their facial balancing or even like their facials, all of the things. Um, some of them might be confused and distracted. What we mean by that is maybe they don't really understand the treatment they're getting that day. So this is where, again, the homework comes in and we make sure they do understand it. If they're coming in and they're in a rush, like, hey, I've only got 15 minutes to get my talks, we want to make sure that we validate them in that and feeling that, and we get them taken care of as quickly as possible. Some people are guarded and they don't want hugs, just like Brad said. They don't want hugs. They just want to come in and get their treatment, and that's fine too. This is where we get a temperature of every patient that comes in. This is where we begin to get to know them. I will say, all of the really guarded patients that I used to see, after like the third time, they were hugging me. They weren't guarded anymore, so we can't be real judgy either. Some people are very private and cautious,
Mhm.
which we completely understand. Price sensitive, a lot of our patients are going to be price sensitive, right? So we want to make sure that we're having those realistic expectations and those realistic open discussions about price before anything's ever done. If they're unsure, again, this is where your provider in the practice is going to educate. And if you have an MA or anybody like that, like I would also do the education before they ever stepped foot in the provider's room. And are they an industry veteran or are they experienced? It may be another injector coming in to see you. It may be another esthetician coming in to get a facial because she can't do it for herself. So these are all questions we want to ask. These are all things that we want to kind of get a check of their temperature on who they are, why they're there. And this is how we better get to know these patients. And this is how we build the relationships with them.
Yep. All right, we got this thing called a royal tour, right? Imagine we've got this beautiful red carpet going all the way down the hallway, past the patient experience lounge and coffee, station. Talk a little bit about, whether you've got a single room or you've got this really large, expansive, building. What's the importance of this? What is this royal tour we're talking about?
So the importance of this is whether or not you have a single room or a 10-room suite, you still treat it the exact same way. Everything is grand. Everything is grand when they come in. I think sometimes the single room studios are a little bit more intimate. And I think some patients love that because they kind of feel not closed in, but in a sense, kind of like that warm hug. Whereas you walk into a ginormous place and it can kind of feel a little cold. So what are we doing to make sure that the 10-room suite and feels like the single room suite? That's where we stay next to them. We don't leave them. We don't just sit them down somewhere and walk away. We stay with them until we hand them off to their provider. At least that's the way I did it. And I believe everybody should be doing it that way.
Yeah.
You want to move on to the next one?
Sure. So you're talking about, these are my most dreaded words because I'm going to take TFR here in a second. These are the words that I aggressively try to eliminate out of each and every patient. So when someone uses, I thought this was going to happen, whether it's a patient or your wife like me, or that person has already created an expectation. It is exceptionally difficult to combat that expectation. You are now forced to deal with that expectation. So one of the frameworks that I have, and I've got it in the resource with some kind of verbiage examples, is when we're booking the patient, when that patient walks through the door, when we are taking that patient from the waiting room to the provider room, when we are introducing that patient to the provider, as the clinician, as I'm introducing myself and what we're going to be doing, all the way to when that patient is discharged back out of the practice and leaves. We should always be giving the time. How much time are we going to spend with them, or what time do we expect for that segment? The frame, what's basically going to happen in that time frame that we provided. And the result is going to be, what can they expect? What is the outcome? What's going to happen next? Every inevitable step that they're going to do should be provided to them. And we might get into this in role play at the end, right? It seems very overwhelming at first, but I do this with my kids. I do this with my team. I do this with my clients. If you're ever on a call with me, I even started this webinar. I already told everyone how long you're going to be here, what we're going to do, and what you're going to get. This is just, it's something honestly that I learned from my really older mentors in nursing, who, were basically going out the door in retirement. But this is something that they had mastered early in their career, and they were masterful at doing it. And it's kind of unfortunately something that's been lost a lot of the time as we kind of modernized and stuff like that. So I'm always, I always think fondly of my first, nurse that precepted me, because this is what she was amazing at. Aimee, the provider handoff. So we've got the patient, we've done an awesome introduction, we've collected a little bit of personal information, we've given them the tour, right? We have gauged kind of where their comfort is. Now we got to knock on the door, or we got to put them in the room. Talk a little bit about the handoff.
The handoff, typically your provider already knows who's coming in. The room should already be fully prepared because we know exactly where they're coming in for. With the exception of, like, if it's neurotoxin, obviously everybody has different units. They have to be mapped out. But it's literally like, again, walking into your best friend's room, so excited to see them, already knowing what the layout is for the plan because of the treatment plan that we've already set in place. And then just basically just sitting there. For me, it was just having a good time, making them feel comfortable, cracking jokes, talking about why they're there and what else can we do for them. And we move on to okay, well, when you coming back, or when are you going to bring your friend with you? Because you always talk about your best friend going away on the weekends. When are you bringing her in for a treatment? Those are the most perfect times to have those conversations, because they're in there. Now they're comfortable. Now they're in the treatment chair. They're numb. They're ready to go. That is when everybody can kind of relax and we just do our thing.
Wonderful. I'm a big football fan. We're going to get into treatment plan discussions here a little bit. So if anyone doesn't know Ben Johnson, and he's the head coach of the Chicago Bears, and he always yells in the middle of the locker room after a game when they win, good, better, best, never let it rest till your good gets better and your better gets best. So what we're talking about today is, these full 1-year treatment plans, right? Where a patient comes in the practice, and yes, listen, they might say to you aggressively, I'm only here for this appointment. You're like, okay, great. In your head, you're like, I'm still going to get you. I'm still going to get you rebooked. I'm still going to convince you that this is the place to come. Okay. We want to hear where they currently are. We want to hear where they want to go. We want to know what's holding them back. I've got a great sales resource for anyone that wants to read that in the zone of perfection. And in an ideal situation, we're sharing with them what is the best plan for them in terms of treatment. Where if that is, potentially slightly outside of their budget or outside of their comfort zone, not everyone's going to want to go do Zerf, microneedling, etc. Then we share what is the better option.
Mhm.
And we always have that foundation, right? The foundation is probably what they're getting treatment for today, and we're going to be respectful. That long term, that's probably a little bit less than the minimum of what this patient needs. But if our treatment plans are comprehensive, they're visible, they're tangible. So we recommend, and we've given a resource. It's not fancy, it's not pretty. It's really just like a 6-pager that you can go and put into something that you want. But this should be something tangible that you're handing to your patient. And I know that everyone's like, but Brad, the Walmart one does, Aimee, right? They're just coming in for their 20 units. We're running an offer, 20 units for 149. Why are we killing trees and wasting paper, right? There's no use. I still sit there with the hope, and I would challenge each of you. I still sit there in the hope and go, I don't know that anyone is perfect at knowing. So if that patient appears rough and tumble, but they are actually the $20,000 patient, I'm going to ask you to really give them the benefit of the doubt. And if you do this consistently, even out of 100 of those Walmart Wondas, you're going to get 3 or 4.
Mhm.
And that's $60,000 to $70,000 for your practice. That's why it's worth it. Okay. So that inevitable, here you go, right? If you've got a Vizia or an Aura, it's making sure, and again, that was part of your intake, right? You're making sure that that person understands we're going to be doing it again when they come back. Okay. The plan that you're giving connects with the goals that they've shared with you. So it's an opportunity for you to communicate directly back. Okay. If you do have an MA, or a scribe, this is wonderful because they can kind of be filling it out as you're having a conversation clinically in the room. And then it's live. You're keeping a copy of this. Electronically, you're probably charting some shorthand for it. Okay, they're getting that hard form in their hand, and that's going to be honestly your best way of turning single treatments into those transformation plans. Okay, again, I'm being realistic. If you have 100 patients, you are not going to get 100 patients into treatment plans. Okay. Even Aimee, as good and gifted as she is, was not doing that for every patient. But if you start doing this, you will see a much higher percentage of your patients coming into treatment plans than if you don't decide to do it. Okay. The final 15 minutes, I'll take this one, Aimee. This is what I was talking about earlier. So I'm going to challenge all of you to write this down. I always say that when I'm on calls, right? Write this down. We're going to create an exit with eloquence. Okay. All of us, I don't care who you are. My clients will know they're laughing as I'm about to say this. Okay. We are all horribly awkward in the last 10 minutes of our visits. Okay. There's uncertainty on our side in the patient. We're pretty confident that we did a great job, but we don't know exactly how comfortable the patient is. Are they being truthful or not? From this list, I want you to prioritize. I put them in no particular order, but this would be a reasonable order for anyone to go through. We're always going to talk about the rebooking. We've got a resource today that we're going to give you that's going to allow you to get retail into the conversation so easily. Okay. We're obviously needing to collect payment. Anyone that's done my review training knows review generation. I always ask, Aimee, how was your experience today? Did we meet your expectations? How was your visit today? Did we provide that +1 experience? Aimee, is this Disney or what? Right? How did we do today? If that patient had a negative experience, I'm fleshing it out before they get home, before they get emotional, before they lash out in the review. This is a requirement, in my opinion, in all of your practices in 2026. As these Gen Zs start coming in for more treatments, right? We're already seeing a lot of millennials, but as more of them are coming through, you are going to have to be prepared to ensure that you've got a good pulse or temperature on how happy your patient is. If you only do two of those, you just do the rebooking and the payment, you're doing a great job. I'm not here to criticize and say that you're not, but the review is just a simple question. Okay, testimonials are a little bit more difficult. Okay, that's generally something that you're going to see after patient is proceeding through a various component of a treatment plan. Social media is what we were talking about before. We're not going to get into it deep today in terms of how you set up your photos and how you talk about that with patients. But again, as you build trust, it's very reasonable to be like, hey, this after photo is going to be killer, right? I can tell already medically, looking at your before, your after that we're going to see here coming up in your next visit. I would love to narrate that story. I would love to make you that queen. And again, whether it's Sarah McLaughlin, whether it is Shanita at Galore, this is what many of the top practices are doing. They're not just taking the before and after, but they're narrating it. They're telling a story. They're putting this patient on a beautiful pedestal. And every patient that then sees that goes, Aimee, I want to be next. When is Misty or Shannon going to be doing my narration? Referrals are also great. Again, they're more difficult to get, but postcards. A lot of my practices hand out postcards through their estheticians and through their injecting team. That's the easiest way for you to get a referral back through the door. They're going back to work. They're going to pick up the kids, right? They're going home to have coffee with someone. Make sure that you're getting some collateral in the hands of patients that don't yet know you. Oh, what's this, Aimee? Am I getting a gift when I leave after my first visit? Ooh, what am I getting?
Yeah, I think this is such a great idea. There's been tons of places I've been to for the very first time, and when I leave, I always leave with a welcome bag or a welcome pack or whatever. Even go to every time you go to the dentist, they give you a new toothbrush and things like that. So why not your new patients gift them some amazing little trinkets? So like we call it the branded bag. So you can put a new patient gift card in there, a beauty bank menu or a coupon or lip gloss, prescription pads, sample retail products. So this is where you need to have that great relationship with your vendors, especially your skincare vendors, asking them for samples or travel size that you can add into these nice little gift bags. Pens with I think Brad, show them, you've got one, one of your
Yeah.
green pens, a
No, no,
pen
no.
with, your name on it. Anything branded, I think is great. And then they're going to carry that out of there and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I got a sweet little gift. And when they need a pen to write something, they're going to see your name every single time. So I think this is just an amazing little added touch, especially the gift card, because what that's going to be is for their next visit. So we know they're going to come back. That gets them in the second time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
And I'll talk
we
about
like
this
gifts.
because I know there's going to be someone being like, why what are we, Brad, what? Like, we already gave them a special. Why are we giving them more? And again, going back a slide, okay, one of the conversations that I will have with patients when I'm role playing live in a practice is if we get to rebooking and that patient is showing me hesitation, uncertainty, I will ask them word for word, Aimee, what can I do to get you rebooked?
Mhm.
And what's happening in that patient, because again, when I'm sitting in practices, I'm not doing the Botox injection. I'm just observing the whole time, right? I get to see all of the verbal and nonverbal behaviors that patient is showing. What they are thinking about at that time, just so everyone knows, is they are doing a self-evaluation of their experience. This was good. This is neutral. Not my favorite place. They're going to get bombarded with an offer from another practice by the time they walk out the door to the time that they probably, engage, with social media by the following weekend. Someone is going to offer a better incentive than $50. I'm just saying to you, let them roll the dice. You roll the dice with them and just go. The experience today was fantastic. Yeah, I know you can go and get another new patient special somewhere else, but I want to meet you in the middle, right? And that $50 gift card, you can make it on whatever you want. A $300 retail purchase, right? You can have it go towards a full retail price of a facial or a treatment. I'm just saying to them, this is what I'm willing to do to get you back into my practice. Because
Mhm.
remember, please, no one, no one in the history of medical spas or practices has gotten a patient to a fourth visit if they never came in for a second. You've never got them to a third visit if you never got them in the door for a second. Memberships are really tough to sell to brand new patients on the first visit. It does happen. Most of us are very gifted when it does. But that's my recommendation, right? My beauty bank, I've given you guys the full playbook to the beauty bank. Okay. If anyone's got questions, feel free to let me know when we go into role play. But that is, like I said, that's the dirty secret that we don't want to talk about is how difficult is it getting a patient back in for the second. It is worth to make sure that they have that. Okay. Or they give it to somebody else. And then you get the opportunity to roll, with that patient and get them through the door overall. So Brittany wanted to say, do you ask, how do I get you to rebook? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, like whichever, like for me, this is just my Canadian male nurse. I would sit down and I would get probably to the level of the patient because I generally sit on a chair that goes up and down. And I would say, just like this, I would say, Aimee, it was a pleasure treating you today. I'm going to see you in 2 weeks for a follow-up. What can I do to get you rebooked? And that Amy's going to go, oh, well, really? I want free Botox. I've had patients say that to me. And I laugh back at them. Well, we can't do that. And again, that means I'm going to strike out. That means I'm going to lose on that rebooking. Most patients will say to you, oh, because it's a pattern interrupt, right? No one has ever asked them that question before. And usually when they hesitate is when I bring out my beauty bank menu, just like a tasting menu at a high-end restaurant. And I say, whether it's a facial, it's coming back in for neurotoxin, it's having a laser hair removal session with us, I would love to invite you back in, and here is what you can select from. Patients have never, ever been presented with that type of option. And if you're a high-end practice that gave a high-end experience, you have already impressed that patient just by the fact that I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to follow up with you. We're still not even out at retail yet. You're still going to see Aimee kind of do her magic here on how she treats patients through the retail process. But you don't have to ask, right? I would just say to you, if I was in your practice and you let me have 20 patients, I probably would rebook 5 or 6 more than you would simply by asking that question. Yeah, and Amy's right? You want to take over that kind of comment that you gave?
Yeah, so I think the best thing to say in that situation is not if, we're going to use the word let. So let's go ahead and get you on my schedule today because I book up fairly quickly. And if we need to adjust, we can. It's very simple. It's very quick. It's very calm. They don't feel the pressure. They're like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and put me on. And then that's where the follow-up calls come. You want to continue to follow up with them, make sure they're going to come back, and but it's I always tried to get everybody rebooked before they left the room, before they even made it to the front desk.
And I'll clarify for Brittany too. I wouldn't be starting every conversation with what can I do to get you rebooked, right? I
Yeah.
agree with Aimee. I would be like, okay, awesome. We're all finished up here. Things are looking great. We're going to take you up to the front desk. Let's go ahead and get you booked, right? Here's what I've got available. Here's when I would like to see you next. Here's the next step of our treatment plan. I think all of you understand that some patients stall, stop, pause, block, right? I would probably come back with a nice rebuttal, right? But we had a great time today, right? I'm loving how, everything, you know, I'm just saying that if I encountered resistance, like fair light resistance from the patient, and I couldn't get that rebooking, I'm gonna ask them nicely, well, what can I do to get you rebooked? Right? This is important to me. It's important to us here at the practice. What can we do? And some patients they'll just say, I'm not ready for that yet. I want to think about it, right? Or I'd like to see you in my follow-up, or I want to see if you're actually going to call. I've had patients be like, I got a coupon I picked up 5 minutes ago in the parking lot for another practice. I'm thinking about going there. Like right, Aimee? I've had patients be very, very like your jaw drops and I kind of put it back in my mouth. I'm just kind of like, okay. But the only way that I knew that answer was by asking that question.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is what's so great about your treatment plan, because most everybody is coming in and they're getting talks, right? So they're getting talks quarterly. So this is where you go ahead and book them for the whole year. So it will be 4 treatments. Go ahead and get them on your books and just say, hey, let's go ahead and do it because I book up or I'm on vacation or whatever it is. You go ahead and have that in the system. And most everybody's system sends out like reminders and whatnot. But that's what's so great about that treatment plan too, so that they are already prepared before it ever even happens.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to aftercare. You always describe this a little bit as it can be overwhelming, Aimee.
Yep. Yes, it can be. So depending on the procedures that they get, there's multiple aftercare instructions. With tops, we tell you don't go lay on your flat on your face, don't go work out, don't go hang upside down, at yoga. We tell women this. I mean, come on, we gotta protect our investment. So they always forget. This is what's so fantastic about the follow-up calls, especially when they have like filler and whatnot. So we always want to do product recommendations, right? Especially if we know that there's going to be swelling and bruising and tenderness. And we want to make them feel very, very ensured that it's normal. When you get poked, you're going to get a bruise. Even sometimes when you get talks, some women bruise, especially around the eye area, just depending on if, they've had a few drinks the night before, or you guys understand all of that. So the reason we usually don't hear from them, and this is why we want to call them, is because they feel like they're bothering us if they call us. So we want to make sure we set it up on the front side, what to expect from any treatment that they're getting, whether even with skin pen, microneedling, they're going to be red for a couple of days. We want to ensure them that this is totally normal. This is why we call them to check on them. And as with anybody that goes to the doctor, they always forget. They always forget. Oh, I don't know. I don't remember what she told me. I think she did tell me not to hang upside down. I do remember that part. They have little to nothing in hand before leaving and the uncertainty about what comes next. So this is where we write it out for them. Or we have like our skincare prescription pad. We can utilize that because we'll get to this, but they're also going to be leaving with skincare. So why not utilize the skincare prescription pad to go ahead and write their aftercare as well, so that it's in their hand, it's small enough they can see it, and then they can revert back to it. But then they're also getting a check-in from us in a few days.
Yeah.
And then they don't feel overwhelmed. We're like, yeah, this is all going to be normal. I'm going to check on you in a couple of days. Here's your aftercare instructions.
Yep. So these are our goals, right? The previous slides kind of like all the stuff that's flying around and their thoughts and kind of what we have to discuss with them. But these are our goals.
Yeah, so we want to reduce that anxiety, increase appreciation and focus, reinforce education and advocacy. So this is where the provider really does need to educate their patient, because they don't know. I mean, they don't, and then they're going to forget. So increase compliance, routine, and follow through. Build confidence in their results. So the follow-up isn't customer service, guys. It's the continuation of the exceptional patient care. So we take care of them, we love on them, we give them all the education, make them feel nice, warm, and fuzzy, and then we check on them in a few days. No more than 3 days.
And one of the things that almost all of you are doing are those good faith exams, right? So I
Mhm.
have something that in coaching I share with practices where Aimee and I are advocating for what we call good faith follow-ups, right? So you've got that patient booked for their 2-week follow-up if they've got talks. You're checking on that patient if they've had microneedling, but this is the extra. This is the cherry on top, right? So I always use the example of first time patients, sometimes, patients that just have had a new product for the first time. What are they doing, Aimee, 6, 7 days after they've had their forehead injected? They're in the mirror looking like this about 6 times a day, right? Remember, they're having a conversation in their mind about good, fair, neutral, maybe disappointed. And that conversation that they're having each day or multiple times is absent of your expertise.
Mhm.
And that is the moment that you want to be talking to them, right? So, like, how good is it looking, right? How are you feeling, right? Oh, send me a photo. Don't worry, it's still early. Having that connection with a patient, even if they're a veteran, no one has ever done this.
Yeah.
No one does it. So the purpose is, are they following their aftercare? Did they, how much did they retain, right? So we talk a lot about non-compliant patients. It's like, well, yeah, but did you really ask them if they agreed, if they understood, if they could repay that back at all? By doing this follow-up, and again, we're talking about a short call, right? Phone call, you can't get a
Mhm.
hold of them on the phone call. It's a quick text message. In our platform, our CRM, you can shoot a video and send that directly to the patient, okay? Um, you're strengthening the therapeutic relationship. You are spending more time with them. That patient needs about 70 to 75 minutes to really feel connected with you. They might have only been in the practice for 45. And what you're doing here is you're adding to that think of it as like a battery, right? We've all had little kids, right? That need that recharge, okay? You are charging the battery of the patient towards you as their provider. How are they feeling? Positive feedback, obviously that increases excitement in the relationship, right? You get to help express what the normal healing process is going to look like. um, we're going to talk about the aftercare, right? You've given them, we're going to give you guys a prescription template to use where you're giving them retail product. Where did you put it? Did you put it on your vanity? Did you take the magnet I gave you and put it right up on the mirror? Is it on the fridge? Is it on the counter? Did you lose it? I'll send you another one. You're documenting this conversation, right?
Mhm.
Then when that patient does come back in, you've got a really good reference point, right? Not all of them, unfortunately, will come back in, okay? But we treat that facial patient with the same care as if it was a full facial balancing patient. We would absolutely be doing a check-in on a patient if they spent that investment and we put that amount of product into their face, right? I would hope that every one of you would follow up with a full facial balancing patient kind of within that 72 hours. We're just asking you to up the ante and kind of say, hey, this is our standard of what we're going to do. If you're an esthetician and it's a patient that's had a facial, you're looking at this and you're like, Brad, really? And I'm like, yes. You know why? Because that patient had a facial with you. That patient, if they come in for another one, is going to be a member. Okay. And,
Mhm.
heed my words for all the people on the call and watching the recording, because this is one of my favorite things to do when I'm coaching. Okay. You can rebook the patients that you love, that you enjoy getting. You can fill your own schedule with these efforts. Or you can let the practice market brand new people come in with coupons and have fun trying to get those patients into memberships. Those are your choices. So, what we're providing here is this is how you get fully booked. It's these tiny little adjustments. And again, we're going through a lot. My expectation is not, Aimee, right? That someone's doing this all 85% completion in 6 weeks, right?
Mhm.
I think for many of you, it would take the remainder of 2026 to probably implement all of it. But start with one section. This is what we
Mhm.
want to prioritize. Once you get that aced, move on to another one. Your competition will not be doing this. Okay?
Right.
They will not. They're shooting weird social media things that I look at every day and go, why are they shooting that instead of making phone calls to their patients? The result. What did we do, Aimee, if we came through this whole beautiful process, start to finish?
We built trust. Yep, they know us, they like us, they trust us. So we've created a therapeutic relationship that may be lifelong, and that is the goal. We want to create relationships with our patients. Um, the patient understands that we are focusing on the next 7 visits. This is when we're talking about that year-long treatment plan. Proportionally increased chance for a higher retention and referrals and reviews, testimonials, social media engagement, permission for narrated before and afters. This is what we're working towards when we build that relationship with them, because once they know us, like us, and trust us, they're going to want to take the photos and give us the testimonials and want to be featured on your Facebook and Instagram and even TikTok. Some of them even do TikTok videos and reels with you. But we have to get that relationship built before any of that happens. And this is how we do it.
Yep. All right. So we're getting to the fun kind of part of maybe a role play or answering any questions if people are feeling brave. I know there's a lot of people on mobile, so I think people are driving home and stuff. But on the left-hand side, we just have, basically a screenshot of the treatment plan template that Aimee put together. I think it's 5 or 6 pages. You can take that, modify it, make it more beautiful, take things out, put things in. But it's pretty comprehensive in terms of how you're going through your assessment and how you're going through your recommendation. QR code is again for that zone of perfection. Misty, thank you for putting it in the chat for us. And then let's talk a little bit about, we kind of said aggressively, Aimee, earlier in the call, like $20,000 retail product. How is that possible? Help people understand what that would look like, right? I don't know if you want to get into your teeth analogy or whether you want to get into just the tool that we have here. But let's talk a little bit about those opportunities, because I think that is a big challenge. People feel overwhelmed. They're like, hey, I hear these stories. I have no idea how people are doing it. I think we can probably give away some of our secrets.
Yeah, so the whole reason they're coming to see you is to look better, feel better, and have glowing skin, whether that's through talks, through facials, through filler, all of the things. These women want to look and feel better. They are making an investment in their skin. So in order to maintain that investment, they should be utilizing an amazing skincare. So yeah, I love my teeth analogy. I'm sorry, I do. But we go to the dentist twice a year and get our teeth cleaned. But yet we still brush our teeth every day, correct? We don't just go twice a year, we still brush our teeth. So same thing. They come to see you 4 times a year. Sometimes if it's just filler, it's once a year. They need to be taking care of their skin with skincare. And everybody needs to be washing, exfoliating, toning, and at the very least moisturizing their face. And every single person on this planet needs sunscreen. And I know you all sell sunscreen. So at the very least, they need to be leaving with sunscreen. And it's not only to protect their skin from the sun, but it's from computers. It's from your phone. It's from a blow dryer. It's from fluorescent lighting, because you can't buy any bulbs anymore that are not fluorescent, all of which emit UV rays, which is why we want to protect our skin even while indoors. That's the easiest sell ever, is sunscreen. However, and so that is protecting that investment, especially the ladies that come in, for all of your estheticians that are on the call tonight, that are getting their hydrofacials, that are doing the microneedling because they have melasma and sun damage and all of the things. They need to be put on a regimen that they can take care of themselves. You take care of them in the practice a few times a year. They take care of themselves at home every single day.
Well, that's why we got a little BX. It's not an
Yeah,
R. It's
it's
a
a
B,
B.
a
Yeah.
beauty X. Okay.
Yes, it's a beauty
So walk
prescription.
us through this, Aimee. So we've got a patient, we've done
Mm-hmm.
a treatment, we've given them the plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? We know for sure through our intake, they're not being as consistent and doing what they need to do. We've got patient name and date. I think that pretty straightforward. Provider. But it's interesting. You've got products
Yep.
prescribed, and then it looks like you have 2 categories for morning and evening. Help us understand what's going in those columns.
Yeah, so the skincare regimen that best benefits them, they're not going to remember how to use it. They obviously know to wash their face, but well, do I exfoliate or do I tone? Well, this prescription pad lets them know. You literally write it out for them, just like if you were writing them a script for amoxicillin that they take twice a day for 7 days. You're doing the exact same thing for their skincare. And this is the size of a prescription pad that you can tear it off. They can stick it on their mirror. They'll never, ever not know how to do it because obviously we want them in that four regimen: wash, exfoliate, tone, moisturize, well, five with and sunscreen. But we also want to be able to introduce the serums. So, do they need retinol? Do they need hydroquinone? All you guys are the experts. You will know because everybody will be different. But this prescription pad will literally spell it out for them step by step, so they'll never have any questions on what comes first, what comes last, what do I use in the morning, what do I use at night. It's a step by step prescription pad for their skincare.
Okay. And then I would assume you've got a reference piece of material for, are they being compliant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they would be in terms of when they need product replenished, when they come back in for their next visit. It's a
Yep.
conversation starter of how are you doing, right? Do you have
Mm-hmm.
questions? Are you seeing the impact, right? Are you seeing the benefits? Okay,
Yes. Yep.
wonderful. So
That's
that's a
that's
resource
another
that's sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, that's another great reason why we do the before and afters, or if you have an aura or anything like that, that's actually going to help benefit you because you're going to take the before, and then as they're coming in, as they're utilizing the skincare, you'll get to show them the results of, because we look at our face every day, we don't see a huge change, but when you put a before and after photo side by side and they can actually visually see it, there's your cell. Essentially.
Wonderful. All right, it's that time of the night. Thank you for everyone for staying. We're 20 minutes over. But if there were any questions, anyone wants to come on audio, ask anything, I just let everyone talk. It's up to you guys if you want to just dive away because you're gonna die if you get asked or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, happy to stay for an extra 5 or 10 minutes. If there's any questions, feel free to ask. Nothing. Everyone's driving home from work, listening in. It's okay.
Yeah. So